Video games are awesome with the 3D graphics and the online and all these things, but sometimes I just want to play something simple and old. So today I thought we'd talk about some retro-inspired games that are much more recent than they might seem. Games that I've enjoyed and maybe you'll enjoy them too. And the first game on this list is a game called Cyber Shadow. Right off the bat, this game feels and looks like Ninja Gaiden from the Nintendo, but this game quickly evolves into something way more. The controls are very snappy, and the pixel art, while it looks classic and retro, is actually quite high quality and modern. As you move through this game, you're going to beat some bosses that are then going to unlock new abilities for you, which is then reflected in the game's level design. In other words, as soon as you get comfortable with this game, things are going to change and you're going to have to adapt and get better at it with your new skill set. And with all these new abilities, you're also given a new way to fight in the game and defend yourself, and this makes boss fights more and more interesting. So while Cyber Shadow is probably the game that inspired this video in the first place, I want to talk to you now about a game called Aegis Defenders. Of the games on this list, Aegis Defenders is probably the most modern feeling of the bunch. So then why is this on the retro games list? Well, because it does feel like the kind of game that you would have had on your PlayStation. And I guess PlayStations are retro these days, so anyway, let's talk about the game itself. There's actually two major aspects to Aegis Defenders that we need to talk about. The first one is the puzzle platforming aspect. Throughout the game, you're going to unlock up to 4 characters, and these characters each have colors associated with them. Using this color-coded scenario, you need to figure out what puzzles certain characters can solve and what enemies they can fight on the stage. So as you move through the game, you learn about certain ways each character can manipulate the world around them and certain abilities that make them unique, and this helps you move through each level. So now the second portion of the game is how each level ends, and that is with a tower defense scenario. You have to defend a certain area and you have time to set up your defenses. And using what you've learned about the characters and their abilities and all the things that they can fight, you know which defenses should go where. So you're given about a minute to set up your defenses, and then when that time is up, a wave of enemies comes in and tries to knock them down and kill you, and their goal is to get to the center, so your goal is to defend it. And as I keep saying, each character has their own strengths and weaknesses, but each character also has their own defenses that they can build. You'll wind up using some of those buildable things within the puzzle platforming section of the game, but you'll really put that knowledge to use in the tower defense section. Aegis Defenders is one of those games that I thought about making a redemption review for, but it's not quite bad enough for me to try to defend it. This game's pretty decent, I just don't think it's for everyone, but if you're into strategy and puzzle platforming, I think you're gonna like it. The next game on this list is a game that could have been on the Sega Saturn or the Dreamcast, and it's called HotShot Racing. If you're the kind of person who loved going to the arcade to play Daytona USA or Cruisin' USA or Cruisin' World, then HotShot Racing might be right up your alley. Or maybe it's right down your road? Regardless, HotShot Racing brings home that arcade experience in a modern way. The game features outlandish characters, a lot of racetracks to go through, a lot of game modes to play. There's cops and robbers, there's a mode where your car is a bomb. Just like in Speed, you have to keep up and go fast or else your car blows up. Everything you do in this game earns you in-game money, not real money, although that would be awesome too. And you can use those in-game credits to unlock new looks for your cars, and you can unlock new outfits for your drivers. And overall, there's just so much to do that you might not get through it all, but when you come back to this game, there's more to do, and that's always good. And while it is a simple arcade game, there is a lot of strategy that goes into making sure you have a full boost and making sure you get to your checkpoints in time. If you just so happen to get really into HotShot Racing, then there's a lot for you to do underneath the hood. And finally, this brings us to the last game on our list, and that's a game called Monster Sanctuary. Monster Sanctuary is a platformer RPG with turn-based combat. Throughout this game, you're going to build a team of monsters that you'll fight, and you'll have to get monsters of varying types to use their strengths against your enemy's weaknesses. And while there is simple type differences like fire versus water, Monster Sanctuary needs you to learn how the debuffs work, how the buffs work, and all of the intricate systems in this RPG, because it's not as simple as slamming attack. And every monster has their own skill tree, so not only do you need to understand the game's strategies, but you have to build your team specifically to your needs and to your wants as you move through it. And a free expansion was just added to the game, so if you're gonna buy it, now's a great time to get into it because there's lots for you to do. And so on top of the intricate battle system, you need to upgrade your monsters so they can break down barriers in the actual game world, just like in Metroid where you have to get different abilities to go to different places. If your monster can't break a certain wall down, you can't move forward. So it's this really interesting combination of a puzzle platformer and an RPG with turn-based combat. But overall, it's just a good game, so definitely give this one a shot. And these 4 games are just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to retro-inspired greatness that exists. So if there's a game that you love that you would think is retro-inspired, share it in the comments. I'd love to talk about it. What are you playing that looks old, acts old, but is quite new? If you want to see more videos about retro games or game suggestions in general, just make sure you like the video. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss those videos. I know uploads have been a bit slow this summer, but I'm giving myself time to think about the videos I want to make and make sure I'm giving you guys the best content that I can. And if there's ever a game that you want me to make a video about, let me know in the comments and I'll consider it. I'm always looking for ideas from you guys because you're the audience and you know what you want to see. So if you tell me what you want to see, I might put some thought into that for sure. I do my best to keep up with the comments on my channel. It's one of my favorite things to do, so I'll see it if you type it. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed these 4 games. Let me know if you give them a shot, and I will see you in the next video.